Okay, so we've talked about a few characters on this channel so far, and eventually my goal is to talk about just about every major fighter throughout the series, OG Dragon Ball included. But it's Thanksgiving week, so I thought we might do a little shorter one by touching on a villain who wasn't around for too long but still had a big impact on the series, none other than the brother of the main protagonist, Raditz. I saw a funny recent comment on my Nappa video saying something like, "Lol, you new fans be glazing throwaway characters like Raditz." And it made me chuckle for a couple reasons. One, because that video wasn't even about Raditz, but also I was planning on making the Raditz video down the line anyway. So after reading that, I just decided to bump it up to this week because, I don't know, I thought it would be funny. But also, just to rebut for a second, the idea that Raditz, the introductory villain of the series, Goku's brother, and the one who gets the ball rolling on the aliens and science fiction aspects of the series going forward, as well as the gaps in power that would define the rest of the franchise, is a quote throwaway character quote, is just kind of silly to me, and I'm going to discuss why. But before we get into it, I did want to say again, thank you so much. The discussions in the comments have been super cool, and I've been having a lot of fun talking about this stuff with you all. Alright, enough about that. I will shut up with the self-promotion so we can get to what you're here for. As always, I want to set the scene with some context. Dragon Ball Z starts a few years after the end of the previous portion of the series at the conclusion of the 23rd World Tournament. Goku and Piccolo, aka Junior, just had one of the most explosive fights in all of shonen anime. Two super powerful fighters, the strongest men on Earth, throwing down with such ferocity that they destroy the ring around them and leave everyone amazed at the sheer destructive power displayed during their battle. The 23rd World Tournament arc is so lit, by the way. Expect a full video on that at some point, but you need to go back and read and or watch it if you haven't in a while. Anyway, Goku and Piccolo are absolute powerhouses is the point. You can feel every attack, every blow as they slug it out, shaking the very earth beneath them. Now, fast forward a few years and Goku has been married to Chi-Chi and had Gohan. However, Goku didn't necessarily take that time off, as he's somehow even stronger at this point than he was during the tournament. We know this because we know Piccolo has been training and growing in power since that time, but remains about the same level as Goku at this point, implying our Monkey Man has also been training. Well, skipping through all the whack intro filler with Gohan frolicking around in the woods. Seriously, I have always hated this part, and recently I tried to get someone into Dragon Ball Z and they said they quit on the first episode because of how boring it was. Whoops. But we end up with Goku visiting his friends for the first time in years at Roshi's Island. Some wholesome stuff happens for a bit, but meanwhile we had cut over to Piccolo, who has encountered the first major bad guy in the series, a strange and mysterious hair metal band member named Raditz. Piccolo, being the second strongest man in the world and direct rival to Goku, tries his best to take on the new bad guy, but he's not even able to scratch him. Instead, Raditz has Piccolo, the Piccolo, sweating bullets and trying not to soil himself out of fear. By the way, if anyone's ever read the early version of the English manga, for some reason they have Piccolo speaking in this like Shakespearean dialogue. Thinks he himself that powerful? I don't know why they did this, and it basically goes away immediately, so it's always made me laugh a little bit. But anyway, Raditz catches wind of Goku with his scouter and makes way to Kame House. Goku feels him as he approaches, and just like Piccolo, immediately starts freaking out with how overwhelming his power is. Again, this cannot be overstated how well Toriyama frames this encounter. Goku looks absolutely terrified here in a way that we haven't really seen before. He's been afraid in the past, sure, but there's always been some level of excitement to fight a new strong opponent, and although we do get that at some point later, right now, just take a look at this guy's face. Especially when Krillin decides to get mouthy and overconfident approaching Raditz before getting instantly swatted away by dude's tail. Oh yeah, and this is where we get the big reveal. This guy has a tail like Goku did as a child, and it turns out he's Goku's brother. Now, I started with Dragon Ball Z and I watched the first part of the series after the fact, but I can imagine this reveal being a big deal to longtime fans of the franchise. I'd imagine since Dragon Ball was usually more fantasy based in terms of genre and was of course based on Journey to the West, that Goku being a little monkey man with a tail who transforms into a big ape was just part of that whole aesthetic. However, now we get a major twist in the narrative. Goku is actually an alien, a member of a spacefaring race. Space warriors, you might even say, who are deployed to various planets throughout the galaxy to conquer them. And of course, Goku was the same, sent to Earth originally to slaughter its inhabitants and prepare it for conquest. Raditz, however, is pissed that Goku has not done his job, and he lets him know that their whole race was destroyed by an asteroid. And yeah, we know that that's not really the case. But anyway, he's come to check in and recruit Goku to their little band of fighters, as they are the only Saiyans who are left. Goku refuses, of course, and Raditz knocks his ass out in one blow and kidnaps his kid. Cue a shot of Piccolo lurking around the corner like a weirdo, watching this whole thing go down, still looking stiff as a board with how scared he is. So Raditz flies off, leaving Goku rolling around in the dirt, and Piccolo makes himself known. Hey, he says, if we don't fight this guy together, we are screwed. more or less is kind of what he says. And he's right, turns out, because even together, they're still totally outclassed. But we're gonna get to that. Cue a 6-shot of Piccolo and Goku flying together to take on this new threat. And by the way, am I the only one who misses when Goku was still using the Nimbus to get around? I know he doesn't really need it anymore, but he always looks so cool like this. Fast forward a little bit, and the two fighters now show up to take on Raditz, and he is completely not worried about it at all. He's pissed, of course, that his younger brother is still being defiant, but he's not worried, not even a little bit. Even after Piccolo and Goku take off their weighted clothing, giving them a slight boost in power, slight compared to Raditz. I mean, it's like a 25% increase from their perspective, which is not nothing, but to him it's nothing. Then they take their sick poses and they get ready to throw down. Now, surely the two strongest fighters in the world are able to combine their powers to fight on equal ground against one guy, right? Yeah, about that. Raditz puts on a clinic. He's too fast, he's too strong, he shrugs off everything they can throw at him. And this fight is very nicely choreographed, both in the anime and in the manga, with some really excellent panels from the legend himself, which I'm sure I have been showing up to this point. After the first blow, Piccolo, seeing how outmatched they are, goads on Goku, asking him if he's excited to fight such a strong opponent, and Goku's answer, no, not really. He's more scared spitless, as he says in the English manga, but regardless of how terrified he is determined to get his son back. Raditz does mess around with him a bit, not showing any sort of exertion, as he easily beats the brakes off of both of them simultaneously, before flying up in the air and delivering a devastating pair of blasts, one of which takes Piccolo's arm clean off. Now things are looking pretty dire, but thankfully Piccolo has a new technique that he's been preparing specifically for his next fight with Goku. The iconic Light of Death. Just kidding, it's the Special Beam Cannon, but it is called the Light of Death in the English manga, which is funny. I think a lot of things are funny, by the way. I don't know, everything's just funny to me. I guess it's a good way to be. So now Goku takes the initiative to distract Raditz, going 1v1 with him for a bit and getting his face reorganized before launching his Kamehameha, which does surprise Raditz as he's able to increase and concentrate his chi power, spiking to almost 1,000 while charging the signature move. Even more impressive, he notices Piccolo's power spiking up past 1,000, eventually climaxing at over 1,300, which is even higher than his own. Even still, Raditz keeps his head on straight and manages to dodge and then catch the Kamehameha, reciprocating with his own blast that takes Goku right out of the air. It's at this moment that Piccolo, seeing the opportunity, takes the shot, and Raditz does seem to be in trouble, but whoops, turns out he's still way faster than Piccolo imagined, and he's able to sidestep the beam, much to the Green Man's shock. Now some more stuff happens with Goku managing to get Raditz's tail and then letting him go after being tricked, but I don't necessarily want to just spend the whole video recounting the fight like some play-by-play, but instead I wanted to focus in on the thesis of this video, which is Raditz is the freaking man in this fight. No matter what angle they try to approach, no matter what they try to throw at him, even with their combined powers, Goku and Piccolo are completely outmatched. Raditz proves that he's able to dodge or tank every single thing they can muster, and sure, Goku does manage to get his tail, but again, he sweet talks his way out of it and it's completely pointless. All things considered, these two are completely screwed if not for the intervention of a 4-year-old Gohan who explodes with his anger, beginning a long story of Gohan's potential that will continue to grow and develop throughout the series, before being completely squandered and wasted at the end. Now sure, is Raditz in the big picture a pretty minor villain? He is. I can admit that, I think everyone can admit that. But what we can't do is overlook the impact that he has on the story as the first major roadblock the heroes encounter. This guy actually is just a brick wall that they come across. They can't get past him. Even together with their combined forces, they can't overcome him. Not like Goku did with Tao, Tien, King Piccolo, you name it from the OG series. No, they have to get bailed out at the last second, which is the only reason Piccolo is able to deliver the final blow and emerge victorious. Raditz truly does usher in a new era in Dragon Ball, which I guess is why he's the beginning of Dragon Ball Z, revealing both Goku and Piccolo's alien origins, setting up the rest of the Saiyan saga and eventually the struggle with Frieza that would follow in the Namek saga. Is he the weakest villain in the series? Yep, even Apul is usually theorized to be a fair bit stronger, but let's be real, Raditz is like the biggest victim of power creep in the entire franchise, probably. Even still, his design is cool, and his role as Goku's brother and the harbinger of the kinds of power we experience throughout the following chapters make him deserving of some respect, in my opinion. Plus, I think he should make a return. He's the brother of the main character, for crying out loud. Okay, well that's all for this kind of short one. Have a happy Thanksgiving to my American viewers, and make sure you like and subscribe or Gohan will torpedo your chest cavity.